Net bed, net bed, net bed. So I don't know how they call it, but it's like a Spanish kind of food. You got chicken, shrimp, and beef down here. And here you have a salsa with tomatoes. This is cheese. I'm not sure what kind of cheese this is. And of course, rice. And this is good. Somebody got some of my drink, man. I know I had more than this. Anyway. Excusez-moi. Wow. I didn't eat that much food. I mean, I did, but I'm definitely gonna have more fruits than actual food. My sister bought a whole bunch of grapes. And then by the time she had to travel, she was like, hey, you want some grapes? Like, why would you get so much grapes knowing you're not gonna eat it? Like, that's crazy. Yeah, man. There is no such a thing as an educated individual. You are either learning or you're not. Here it is. Here it is. Fear of criticism, failure to create plans and put them into actions because of what others would think, do, or say. This enemy belongs to the head of the list because it generally exists in one's subconscious mind. Get this closer. Make sure you can hear me. This enemy belongs to the head of the list because it generally exists in one's subconscious mind, where the presence is not recognized. It's not recognized. Imagine having a fear that you don't even know that you have. That's crazy. That is crazy. Let's see. When I started reading this chapter on fear, like, I wasn't really inspired. But the more I kept reading and the more I saw myself, like, I didn't, it's kind of difficult, to admit certain things about yourself. But that's cool, that's how you elevate. That's how you become better, by fixing whatever you need to fix. Anyway. Symptoms of fear of old age. The most common symptoms of fear are the tendency to slow down, and develop inferiority complex. I think I read this already. The tendency to slow down and develop an inferiority complex at the age of mental maturity, around the age of 40, falsely believing oneself to be sleeping because of old age. The truth is that man's most useful years, mentally and spiritually, are those between 40 and 60. The truth is that man's most useful years, mentally and spiritually, man's most useful years, between 40 and 60. The habit of speaking apologetically of oneself being old merely because one has reached the age of 40 or 50, instead of reversing the rule and expressing gratitude for having reached the age of wisdom and understanding. Because one has reached the age of 40 or 50, instead of reversing the rule and expressing gratitude for having reached the age of wisdom and understanding. The habit of killing off initiative, imagination, and self-reliance. Falsely believing oneself too old to exercise these qualities. The habit of man or woman of 40 dressing with the aim of trying to appear much younger, and affecting mannerisms of youth, thereby inspiring ridicule of both friends and strangers. The fear of death. To some, this is the cruelest of all the basic fears. The reason is obvious. The terrible pangs of fear associated with this thought of death. In the majority of cases, may be charged directly to religious fanaticism. The majority of cases may be charged directly to fear. So-called heathens are less afraid of death than more civilized. For hundreds of millions of years, man has been asking a still unanswered question. Where and whither? Whence and whither? Where did I come from? Where am I going? During the darker ages of the past, the more cunning and crafty were slow to offer an answer to these questions for a price. Not slow to answer these questions for a price. Witness now the major source of the origin of the fear of death. The major source of the fear of death. Come into my tent, embrace my faith, accept my dogmas, and I will give you a ticket that will admit you straight away into heaven when you die. Christ, a leader of sectarianism. Remain out of my tent, says the same leader, and may the devil take you and burn you to eternity. What the hell? This thing is bipolar. Eternity is a long time. Fire is a terrible thing. The thought of eternal punishment with fire not only causes men to fear death, it often causes him to lose his reason. It destroys interest in life and makes happiness impossible. During my research, I reviewed a book entitled The Catalog of the Gods. In which were listed 30,000 gods, which man has worshipped. Think of it, 30,000 of them, represented by everything from a crawfish to a man. It is little wonder that men have become frightened at the approach of death. While the religious leaders may not be able to provide safe conduct into heaven, nor by lack of such provision allow unfortunate to descend into hell, the possibility of the latter seems terrible, that every thought of it lays hold of the imagination in such a realistic way it paralyzes reason and sets up the fear of death. In truth, no man knows, and no man has ever known, that heaven or hell, what heaven or hell is like. Nor does any man knows either place actually exists. This very lack of positive knowledge opens the door of the human mind to the charlatan, so he may enter and control their mind with his talk of legerdemain and various brands of pious frauds and trickery. fear of death is not common now as it was during the age where there were no great colleges and university. Men of science have turned the spotlight of truth upon the world. And this truth rapidly freeing men and women from this terrible fear of death. The young men and women who attend the colleges and universities are not easily impressed by fire and brimstone. Universities. Through the aid of biology, astronomy, geology, and other related sciences, the fear of the dark ages which gripped the mind of men and destroyed their reasons have been dispelled. Insane asylum filled with men and women who have gone mad because of the fear of insane asylum are filled. Okay. Insane asylum are filled with men and women who have gone mad because of the fear of death. This fear is useless. Death will come no matter what anyone may think about it. Accept it as a necessity and pass the thought out of your mind. It must be a necessity or it would not come at all. Perhaps it is not as bad as it has been pictured. The entire world is made up of only two things: matter and energy. Speaking of matter and energy, that used to be my favorite class in high school. Yes, indeed. I forgot the teacher's name, but he used to work for NASA, I believe. And yeah, it was fun times. You know, I had a good grade. I think I had straight A's. And we had like a competition or whatever, where we filled like a bottle. It was like a bottle of Coke. But it was like a bottle, and basically we filled it with like water and air, and then like that, and then we shoot it in the air, and it's supposed to like be a rocket or whatever. And your boy had the best rocket. The only thing is I should have kept it, but I had the best rocket, man. My rocket was kind of weird looking compared to the other ones, but I didn't care about that. I cared about, I don't know, I just visualized like something piercing through the air. And basically like most people's rockets were short or stubby or kind of fat. And mine was more like streamlined. That's the word I'm looking for. Streamlined. So yeah, I won. I won. That was one of my best days, man. That's one of my best days. Anyway, first year of high school, I barely spoke English, but I knew a little bit of science, you know? In elementary physics, we learned that neither matter or energy, the only two realities known to man, can be created or destroyed. Both matter and energy can be transformed, but neither can be destroyed. Let's be real. Let's be real, man. I don't even want to say what I'm thinking right now, but both matter and energy can be transformed. Anyway, I don't even want to say what I think, but yeah. I'm gonna keep that thought to myself. Battery's low, eh? That's fine. Good. My battery wanna be low all of a sudden. All of a sudden. I feel like I gotta doo-doo. Hold on. Wait. Oh yes. I am back. Yeah, ready to go. Alright, where was I? Life is energy, if it is anything. Neither energy nor matter can be destroyed. If neither energy nor matter can be destroyed, of course, life cannot be destroyed. Life, like other forms of energy, may be passed through various processes of transition or change. It cannot be destroyed. Death is merely transition. If death is not mere change or transition, then nothing can come after death except long eternal peace, sleep. And sleep is nothing to be feared. Thus, you may wipe out forever the fear of death. Symptoms of the fear of death. The general symptoms of this fear are the habit of thinking about dying instead of making the most of life, due to generally a lack of purpose, a lack of sustainable occupation. Damn. How many times have we been like that? But I mean, it makes sense, because if you don't really have a goal, I don't know, man. It's crazy. You gotta have a goal. You gotta have a target. You gotta aim for something. You got to aim for something. You got it. People love speeding down here. This fear is more prevalent among the age, but sometimes the more youthful are victims of it. This fear is more prevalent among the age, but sometimes the youthful are more victims of it. The greatest of all remedies of the fear of death is a burning desire for achievement, backed by the useful service of others. The greatest of all remedies for this fear of death is a burning desire. A burning desire. For achievement. A burning desire for achievement. So basically like a goal. Backed by useful service to others. A busy person seldom has time to think about dying. You gotta be too busy, man, to think about the haters. You gotta be too busy. Like, you don't have time for the haters, hating ass energy, anybody that talk about why things can't be done. You gotta remove yourself from that environment, man. And I had to do that very recently, as a matter of fact. And the woman I was talking to is extremely emotional. She was cutting me off and all that. And she kept talking about, because I told her, like, hey, you do a lot of trauma dumping, you know what I mean? And again, I'm not here to judge. I guess I'm the type of person that people like to talk to me and talk about their problems and all of that. And maybe that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. But this is the thing, like, we can't spend like 2 hours talking about negative stuff, you know what I mean? Like, she was talking about, oh, I hate this person, I hate that person, everything you can think and imagine. And the result is that the conversation was extremely draining. Like, the other night when I was talking to her, she kept talking and all that, and I went to sleep. I went to sleep because it's just, the energy is just not positive. So the next day, I found the courage to talk to her, the best way I could, of course, but it wasn't received well. I don't know. I mean, the end was okay, but her first reaction were like, oh, what are you talking about? Are you trying to attack me? You can't tell me what to do. You gotta love black women, man. You gotta love them. It takes, man. It takes what it takes, you know what I mean? You know what it is. If you're a black man, you know what it is. You know what it is, okay? But man, I told her, look, man, I have a lot of patience dealing with you. You know? Let me make sure that, yeah, it's charging cool. I told her, like, I got a lot of patience dealing with you. You know what I mean? Like, you cutting me off, you over talking me, doing all those stuff. And my thing is this, you don't have to agree with everything I'm saying, but you know, at least don't cut me off. You know what I mean? Like, you say what you gotta say, then I say what I gotta say, and it's a conversation. You know, it's a give and take. It's a give and take. And she was like, well, if I don't like what you're talking about, I don't have to listen to it, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, well, you talk about not wanting to be forced and be controlled. And I feel like I'm getting a headache just talking about this. Man, you're talking about not wanting to be forced and not wanting to be controlled, but you forcing yourself onto me. You cutting me off, you over talking me, you forcing your voice. You know what I mean? You forcing me to listen to what you gotta say. You know, and she had to think about it for a second, but you know, you know how it is. You know, she gotta be right. You know, she gotta be right. It doesn't matter. It's about me, 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 and that's cool. You know, that's funny to me. But I just try my damnedest, man, to tell her like, look, whatever you speak on, you are attracting. And she was like, oh, don't put things on me. You know, you can't speak over me. You can't. Yeah. And I was like, look, I'm just trying to tell you some good shit. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to do whatever you think I'm trying to do. And then she was like, well, if you don't. And that's the thing, like the next morning, right? I woke up kind of early. And I had it on my brain, right? Because we were talking the night before. And I just text her, you know, I sent her a little prayer, you know, I was like, you know, a little prayer, you know, something like. And then she hit me up and she was like, I don't really want people to pray over me because I don't know the intentions, you know, I don't want no voodoo shit, blah, 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 blah. It's like, I could sit up here and explain everything, but I don't even want to because I feel like I'm getting a headache just talking about this situation. You know, I gotta be disciplined. You know, I could use a curse word, but you know, I want to show a different light. You know what I mean? It's a different level. Yeah, man. You gotta love it. You know what I mean? You gotta love it. It takes a lot of patience, but at the end of the conversation, she was like, "All right, man. I think I'm gonna go talk to my friend." I was like, "Go ahead, girl. Talk to your friend." You know, but there's something to be said about people we associate ourselves with. You know what I mean? And I told her, like, in the beginning of the conversation, I told her, you know, birds of a feather flock together. You know what I mean? And she started saying, well, you're not my best friend. You're not my best friend in the whole wide world. We're not birds of a feather, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, I get what you're saying, but why you keep calling me? You know what I mean? I didn't even say that. I could, you know, it wasn't the tip of my tongue. You know what I mean? But I was just thinking, like, you're saying all of this stuff, but you keep calling me. You know what I mean? Like you keep texting me, and you want some of this energy. Let's keep it 1,000. You know what I mean? But I didn't even do that. Okay, I kept it cool. I kept it gentlemanly. You know what I mean? But I just listened to what she had to say, and even when I was trying to talk to her, I was taking my time. You know what I mean? Because my goal is not to just puncture her ego. You know what I mean? That's the easy way out. That's not the goal. I was just trying to show her a different light. You know what I mean? I was like, look, I know you've been through a lot. You know what I mean? I know you're trying to get your emotions off. And she was like, well, then I'm gonna start venting to you. In my mind, I was like, I never asked you. You talking to me like you doing me a favor. Like, you know what I mean? I'm the one that's trying to listen to what you got going on. But anyway, I was like, look, man. Hey, we can't keep talking about negative stuff. You know what I mean? We gotta talk about life. We gotta talk about growth. We gotta talk about how we're gonna get this money. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm on. I'm elevating. You know what I mean? So we gotta be beneficial to each other. And yeah, she was like, well, I don't even want to talk about it, man. But yeah, it's very important to be cheap when it comes to the people we hang around. Especially if you got something going on for yourself. Especially if you're trying to get this money. You know what I mean? You gotta go, you're going after your goal. Man, you're gonna have to cut a lot of people off. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to cut a lot of people off. You're gonna have to cut a lot of people off. Because a lot of people is just God bless. God bless, man. God bless. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Because I feel like I'm getting a headache. So, yeah. God bless. Alright. He finds life too thrilling to worry about death. Sometimes fear of death is closely associated with the fear of poverty. Where one's death would leave loved ones, poverty is stricken. The fear of death is closely associated with the fear of poverty. Where one's death would leave one's poverty stricken. Man, the fear of poverty is a big thing, man. It's a big thing. Like, I was reading yesterday and I just thought about it. Like, wow. The fear of poverty. That's one of those sneaky ones, you know what I mean? It's like you really gotta be intentional about this one. In other cases, the fear of death is caused by illness and the consequent breaking of the physical body resistance. In other cases, the fear of death is caused by illness and the breaking down of the physical body resistance. The commonest cause of fear of death are ill health, poverty, lack of appropriate occupation, disappointment over love, insanity, religious fanaticism. Disappointment over love. Man, I went through that. I'm gonna get to that in another video or whatever, but just know, man, it's not that serious. But I love hard, so I guess nobody's breakup is easy. But when you feel like you didn't put your best foot forward, you kind of feel like shit. But you live and you learn. You live and you learn. Old man worry. Worry is a state of mind based upon fear. It works slowly but persistently. It is insidious and subtle. Step by step, it digs itself in until it paralyzes one's reasoning faculty to destroy. Reasoning until it paralyzes one's reasoning faculty. Destroys self-confidence and initiative. Worry is a form of sustained fear caused by indecision. Therefore, it is a state of mind which can be controlled. It can be controlled. That's a good thing. An unsettled mind is helpless. Indecision makes an unsettled mind. Most individuals lack the willpower to reach decision promptly and to stand by them after they have been made, even during normal business conditions. That is deep, man. That is deep. During periods of economic unrest, such as the world recently experienced, the individual is handicapped, not alone by his inherent nature to be slow at reaching decision, but he is influenced by the indecision of others around him, who have created a state of mass indecision. That's crazy. During the Depression, the whole atmosphere of all the world was filled with Fiorenza. Fiorenza. That's funny as shit. Fiorenza. And worryitis. Wow. Fiorenza and worryitis. Yeah. The two mental disease germs which began to spread themselves after the Wall Street frenzy in 1929. Two mental disease germs which began to spread themselves after the Wall Street frenzy in 1929. There's only one known antidote for these germs. It is the habit of prompt and firm decision. Moreover, it is an antidote which every individual must apply for himself. It's an antidote which every individual must apply for himself. We do not worry over conditions once we have reached a decision to follow a definite line of action. I once interviewed a man who was to be electrocuted 2 hours later. The condemned man was the calmest of some 8 men who were to the death cell with him. His calmness prompted me to ask him how it felt to know that he was going into eternity in a short while. With a smile of confidence on his face, he said, "It feels fine. Just think, brother, my troubles will soon be over." I have had nothing but trouble in my life. It has been a hardship to get food and clothing. Soon I will not need these things. I have felt fine ever since I learned for certain that I must die. I made up my mind then to accept my faith in good spirit. As he spoke, he devoured a dinner of proportion sufficient for 3 men, eating every mouthful of food brought to him, and apparently enjoying it as much as if no disaster awaited him. Decision gave this man resignation to his fate. Decision can also prevent one's acceptance of undesired circumstances. Decision can also prevent one's acceptance of undesired circumstances. The 6 basic fears become translated into a state of worry through indecision. This gotta be changed. Be right back. Alright, I'm back. Sorry. I had to change the head, the head. I need to do my hair, not do my hair, but shave or whatever. Relieve yourself forever of the fear of death by reaching a decision to accept death as an inescapable event. Forever of the fear of death by reaching a decision. Inescapable event. With the fear of poverty by reaching a decision to get along with whatever wealth you can accumulate without worry. Put your foot upon the neck of the fear of criticism by reaching a decision not to worry about what other people think. Do or say. That's big, man. That's big. Like, man, we worry so much about what other people think. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's like a lot of things we do it because of what other people might say. And that's not supposed to be how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to do what we do, and that's it. You know what I mean? Because no matter what you do, somebody is going to say something. You know, so damn if you do, damn if you don't. You know, that's something easy to say, but putting that into practice might take some work. But I think that the work is worth it. For sure. Eliminate the fear of old age by reaching a decision to accept it, not as a handicap, but as a great blessing which carries with it wisdom, self-control, and understanding not known to youth. Acquit yourself of the fear of ill health by the decision to forget symptoms. Decision to forget symptoms. Master the fear of loss by love, by reaching a decision to get along without love. Master the fear of loss of love by reaching a decision to get along without love, if that is necessary. If they're not fucking with you, fuck it. That's on them. You know what I mean? Make sure you do you. You know what I mean? Make sure you do you. That's all I can tell you, buddy. Kill the habit of worry in all its forms by reaching a general blanket decision that nothing which life has to offer is worth the price of worry. Kill the habit of worry in all its forms by reaching a general blanket decision that nothing which life has the price to offer is worth worrying about it. That's a powerful statement right there. To not worry about anything. That would sure be nice. With this decision will come poise, peace of mind, and calmness of thought that will bring happiness. Happy, happy. Happiness. Yoo-hoo. The man whose mind is filled with fear not only destroys his own chances of intelligent action, but he transmits these destructive vibrations to the mind of all who come across contact with him, and destroys also their chances. Even a dog or horse knows when its master lacks courage. Moreover, a dog or a horse will pick up on the vibration of fear thrown off by its master and behave accordingly. Lower down the line of lower down the line of intelligence in the animal kingdom. Lower down the line of intelligence in the animal kingdom, one finds the same capacity to pick up vibration of fear. A honeybee immediately senses fear in the mind of a person for reasons unknown. A bee will sting a person whose mind is releasing vibration of fear much more readily than it will molest the person whose mind registers no fear. That's true, because I've seen videos of like a beekeeper that had no gear, with no protective gear, except for like the face thing. And she was just doing her thing, you know, like the pumping of the, I don't know much about it, but she was pumping like some kind of fumes or whatever, and getting the bee out. And I kept thinking to myself, she's not wearing any gloves or any like, you know, hazmats. She's just talking about bees and bees and bees. I'm gonna try to see if I can find her. Hold up. Oh yes. So yeah, you seen her, and you can look her up and everything. And yeah, she's not wearing anything. She's not even wearing the head cap I was talking about. She is cold. She's a gangster. Yes. The vibration of fear passes from one mind to another just as quickly as, the vibration of fear passes from one mind to another just as quickly as surely as the sound of the human voice passes from the broadcasting station to the receiving set of radio, and by the self-same medium. Mental telepathy is a reality. That's hard. That's hard right there, man. Mental telepathy is a reality. Thoughts pass from one mind to another voluntarily, whether or not this fact is recognized by either the person releasing the thoughts or the person who's picking up those thoughts. Now that's deep. That's deep. You can actually like telepathy for real? I didn't know this. I mean, I heard about it, but I didn't think it was real. Not like that. But hey, telepathy, guys, telepathy. Telepathy. The person who gives expression by word of mouth to negative, destructive thoughts is practically certain. Is practically certain to experience the result of those thoughts in the form of a destructive kickback. The release of destructive thought impulse alone without this aid. The release of destructive thought impulses alone without the aid of words produces also a kickback in more ways than one. First of all, perhaps most important to be remembered, the person who releases thoughts of a destructive nature must suffer damage to the breaking down of the faculty of creative imagination. The release of destructive thought impulses alone without the aid of words produces also a kickback in more ways than one. First of all, and perhaps most important to be remembered, the person who releases thoughts of a destructive nature must suffer damage to the breaking down of the faculty of creative imagination. Secondly, the presence in the mind of any destructive emotion develops a negative personality which repels people and often converts them into antagonists. The third source of damage of the person who entertains or releases negative thoughts lies in this significant fact. These thought impulses are not only damaging to others, but they embedded themselves in the subconscious mind of the person releasing them, and there become a part of his character. One is never through with the thought. Hold on, man. I'm over here. Anyway, one is never through with a thought merely by releasing it. When a thought is released, it spreads in every direction through the medium of the ether, but it also plants itself permanently in the subconscious mind of the person releasing it. But it also plants itself permanently in the subconscious mind of the person releasing it. Hold up. One is never through with a thought merely by releasing it. Suppose you think something is so it's like the subconscious mind is keeping all the information, tracking everything you do. Okay. and it stays in your subconscious mind forever. Imagine that. Stays in your mind forever. Everything you ever thought about from the beginning. Which brings me to this interesting point. One of my friends said that she remembers how she used to be, or like people around her when she was an infant. That's amazing. Amazing. But I guess it makes sense when you think about it. Okay. Your business in life is presumably to achieve success. That's the goal. To be successful, you must find peace of mind, acquire the material needs of life, and above all, attain happiness. Yeah, man. All of these evidences of success begin in the form of thought impulses. I think I think, therefore I am. It just came into my head, you know what I mean? It came off the dome. You may control your own mind, and you have the power to feed it whatever thought impulses you choose. With this privilege goes, you may control your own mind and have the power to free it whatsoever thought impulses you choose. You the boss. You the boss. You know what I mean? It's like that Rick Ross song with Nicki Minaj. You the boss. You know what I mean? Big boss. Big boss. Yeah. Oh, man. All right. With this privilege goes also the responsibility of it. With this privilege goes also the responsibility of using it constructively. Let me make sure this thing is recording. Okay, we Gucci. We is Gucci. You are the master of your own earthly destiny, just as you are the master of your own earthly destiny. You are the master of your own earthly destiny. Damn. Just as surely as you have the power to control your own thoughts, you may influence, direct, and eventually control your own environment, making your life what you want it to be, or may neglect to exercise the privilege which is yours to make your life to order. Thus, casting yourself upon the broad sea of circumstance, where you will be tossed hither and yon, like a ship on the waves of the ocean. Yeah, man. You gotta pick your prize. You gotta pick your prize. You gotta pick your prize, man. You gotta have that image. You gotta have that goal. You gotta have that target. You gotta have it. You gotta have it. The Devil's Workshop. The 7th basic evil. In addition to the 6 basic fears, there's another evil by which people suffer. It constitutes a rich soil in which seeds of failure grow abundantly. It is so subtle that its presence often is not detected. Sneaky with it. It's sneaky with it. Very sneaky with it. This affliction cannot properly be classed as a fear. It is more deeply seated and often fatal to all of the 6 fears. For want of a better name, let us call this evil susceptibility to negative influences. Susceptibility to negative influences. That's why I said earlier, you gotta keep the haters out your circle. Man. Anyway. Men who accumulate great riches always protect themselves against this evil. Gotta keep a tight circle, man. Tight, tight, tight. You gotta tick, tuck, and tighten. That's funny. That comes from a guy, like a personal trainer or whatever. That's like an inside joke. If you know, hey, shout out to the Mac lessons, you know what I mean? Great information. MacLessons.com. Great. The poverty-stricken never do. Those who succeed in any calling must prepare their minds to resist this evil. If you are reading this philosophy for the purpose of accumulating riches, you should examine yourself very carefully to determine whether you are susceptible to negative influences. You are. Let's be real. Let's not be fake. We're not gonna fake it for the gram. We all are susceptible to negative influences. Let's keep it real. That's why I don't even watch TV. Well, I do, but I don't like it. Too many ads. You know what I mean? Too many ads. If you neglect this self-analysis, you will forfeit your right to attain the object of your desire. Make the analysis searching. After you read the questions prepared for this self-analysis, hold yourself to a strict accounting of your answers. Go at the task of Go at the task as carefully as you would search for any other enemy you knew to be awaiting you in ambush. Make the analysis searching. After you read the questions prepared for this self-analysis, hold yourself to strict accounting of your answers. Go at the task as carefully as you would search for any other enemy you knew to be awaiting you in ambush, and deal with your own faults as you would with a more tangible enemy. You can easily protect yourself against highway robbers because the law provides organized cooperation for your benefit. But the seventh basic evil is more difficult to master because it strikes when you are not aware of its presence, when you are asleep and while you are awake. This nigga wait for you to sleep, or it can hit you when you're awake. Very sneaky fella. What's his name again? Not that I care, but we're gonna get to that. Moreover, its weapon is intangible because it consists of merely a state of mind. It consists merely of a state of mind. This evil is also dangerous because it strikes in as many different forms as there are human experiences. What they say, the idle mind is the devil's workshop. The idle mind, buddy. You cannot have an idle mind. You gotta have a target. You gotta have a goal. Sometimes it enters the mind through the well-meant words of one's own relative. It be your own family, man. It be your own family. You know, they gonna come with you with the sweets, like, you know, they know you. They know you. They know you. So they gonna hit you where it hurts because they know you. Man. At other times, it bores from within to one's own mental attitude. Always, it is as deadly as poison, even though it may not kill as quickly. How to protect yourself against negative influences, right? What's the protection? Do I have to use a condom? What is it? The protection, to protect yourself against negative influences, whether of your own making, or the results of activity of negative people around you, Recognize that you are a willpower and put it into constant use until it builds a wall of immunity against negative influences in your own mind. This whole thing right here, this whole thing. This whole thing. Recognize the fact that you and every other human being are by nature lazy. You lazy. That's fine, man. We all lazy. Ah. Make sure this thing is recording. Yeah, it's recording. It's recording. You know, I gotta check from time to time. Anyway, recognize the fact that you and every other human being are by nature lazy, indifferent, and susceptible to all suggestion which harmonize with your weaknesses. Susceptible to all suggestion which harmonize with your weaknesses. Recognize that you are by nature susceptible to all 6 basic fears and set up the habit for the purpose of concentrating all these fears. Recognize that you're set up. Anyway, recognize that you are by nature susceptible to all the 6. Recognize that you are by nature susceptible to all the 6 basic fears and set up habits of purpose for counteracting all these fears. Recognize that negative influences often work on you through your subconscious mind. Therefore, they are difficult to detect. Keep your mind closed against all people who depress or discourage you in any way. Damn, I should have been cut off. For real. But you know how it is. You know how it is. I should have been cut off. But that's cool. You live and you learn, You live and you learn. Clean out your medicine chest. Clear your medicine chest. Throw away all pills, bottle, and stop pandering to cold, aches, pains, and imaginary illness. Deliberately seek the company of people who influence you to think and act for yourself. These are people of quality, man. quality people, man. Quality over quantity. Quality over quantity. For sure. For sure. Do not expect troubles, as there are a tendency not to disappoint. Without a doubt, most common weakness of all human beings is the habit of leaving their minds open to negative influence of other people. This weakness is all the more damaging because most people do not recognize that they are cursed by it, and many who acknowledge it neglect or refuse to correct the evil until it becomes an uncontrollable part of their daily habits. To aid those who wish to see themselves as they really are, the following list of questions has been prepared. Read the questions and state your answers aloud so you can hear your own voice. This will make it easier for you to be truthful with yourself. Here we go. Self-analysis test questions. Are y'all ready? I'll be right back. I bought these a long time ago. Never used them. But now, very useful. Sticky notes. All right, self-analysis questions. Self-analysis test questions. Do you complain often of the feeling of feeling bad? And if so, what is the cause? Me personally, I don't really complain often. I don't really complain often. Yeah, I don't. But, there's some sneaky stuff going on in my mind, of course, which is going to take time to fix, and that's okay. Do you find faults with other people at the slightest provocation? I mean, faults with other people is Yeah, I do because yeah, I feel like if you're provoking me, there's something wrong with you. Of course. Do you frequently make mistakes in your work? If so, why? You frequently make mistakes in your work. If so, why? I mean, like when I read, sometimes I doubt myself, so I reread things. Uh, yeah, I doubt myself sometimes. Yep. Are you sarcastic and offensive in your conversation? You know, as a Capricorn, I am very sarcastic sometimes and offensive, right? In your conversation. Yeah, you know, I got it like that. You know, what can I say? I'm a Capricorn. So I know how to, you know what I mean? I know how to do that ninjutsu on you, you know what I mean? Where you can't really tell me nothing and I can switch up the words and whatever. But that's not the goal no more, you know? Which is why when old girl was being disrespectful, over talking me and cutting me off, I kept my composure, you know what I mean? I should have ended the call, to be honest. But yeah. Do you deliberately avoid the association of anyone, and if so, why? Yeah, I'm very picky now about people that I'm around because I'm not sure what they be on. You know what I mean? I'm not sure what they be on. So unless I can tell what you on, I'm probably not gonna be around you. And that's just that. Do you suffer frequently from indigestion? If so, what is the cause? This is kind of TMI, you know what I mean? But hey, I think I gotta learn how to cook maybe, you know. But hey, this TMI. Yeah. Do you suffer frequently? Blah blah. Blah, I already said that. Does life seem futile and the future hopeless to you? And if so, why? I've been to that phase. I've been to that phase where I felt like, man, what's the point? What's the use? You know what I mean? Like, I've been to that phase. But I snapped out of it, and now I'm on what I'm on. So, let's get it. Do you like your occupation? And if so, why? Well, I like my occupation now because it's me. I don't have to force it, you know what I mean? It's just natural with it. I've always been the type of guy to be talking the way I talk and everything, and I feel like this would be great for me because I'm doing me. So, you know what I mean? Make money doing me is like, that's what life is all about. I feel, you know what I mean? It doesn't even feel like work what I'm doing right now. I'm just doing me. So I'm very grateful. Very grateful. Do you often feel self-pity, and if so, why? Yeah, I've been to that phase again, you know. I've been to that phase, but you live and you learn. I've been to that phase, but you live and you learn. Are you envious of those who excel you? Well, I'm not the envious type of guy, but I'm not gonna lie and pretend like I wasn't impressed by my friend, because he's really doing his thing. You know what I mean? And I'm very proud of him. So naturally I felt a little something, you know what I mean? Something was like, damn, what about me? But it's cool, He applied the principles of what I'm speaking about. So it's just a matter of time before I can too be, you know what I mean, financially moneyed up, So yeah. I can't hate, I gotta appreciate, it's beautiful. Are you gaining or losing? To which do you devote most time? Thinking of success or failure? To which you devote more time? Thinking of success or failure? Well, obviously now I'm thinking about success, but I can't speak, I can't, wait, what's the word I'm trying? I can't say that I was doing that before, although I did, but not as much as I do now. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Are you gaining or losing self-confidence as you grow older? I'm definitely gaining self-confidence, man. I am so much better than when I was 18, I am so much better, so much wiser, So yeah, I'm blessed. What can I say? I'm blessed. Do you learn something of value from all mistakes? Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Are you pertaining some relative or acquaintance to worry you? Are you permitting some relative or acquaintances to worry you? If so, why? There's like something in me that want to help people, And sometimes I go a little too far, even for my own good. Perfect example, that phone call with old girl. You know what I mean? Like, by the time we were done, I had a headache where I could have just hung up the phone. But hey, lesson learned, Lesson learned. Are you sometimes in the clouds and at other times in the depth of despondency? Sometimes in the clouds and at other times in the depth of despondency. I gotta look up what despondency means, but yeah, I used to be on all that. before I got myself together and made the decision that, you know, I'm not gonna fuck around no more. Like, this is it, and I'm gonna focus on everything that I've been talking about. You know, yeah, like I always, let me put it that way, like my spirit hasn't always aligned with the knowledge I have. Meaning, I would speak on a lot of things, but not necessarily apply those things. So now, you know, that I'm more aware of that tendency, I'm fixing that. And it's a beautiful thing, you know, because it's like self-reassurance, you know. A lot of things are like not very new, but it's like looking at it in a different dimension, and it's beautiful, man. It's deep. It's deep. Who has the most inspiring influence upon you? I mean, for me, you know, it's Jay, you know. It's Jay for sure. No doubt about it. I'll be bumping Jay a whole lot. To the point where, you know, people be hating on me, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is, man. Who has the most inspiring influence on you? What is the cause? Because, I mean, Jay-Z, not only his music is good, but he's actually talking about something. You know, like, just like reading this book, like, you learn about yourself and you improve, you know, you gain self-confidence, and it's cool. And, you know, it's cool to borrow confidence from other people who are confident. You know what I mean? And, you know, once you start applying those things for yourself, then you can really make a change in your life. And that's the point, you know, that's the goal. So, yeah. Do you tolerate negative or discouraging influences which you can avoid? Yeah, old girl, man. I tolerated too much that I should have avoided. But you live and you learn. You live and you learn. That's why yeah. Headache. Chill out. Okay. Are you careless on your personal appearance? Yeah. That's something I gotta work on, you know. I gotta give a damn. I gotta give a damn how I look, man. I can't be looking bummy, you know what I mean? I gotta spruce myself up, you know. I gotta get a shape up, you know. You know. I'm a work in progress, you know. I'm a work in progress, and that's okay, you know. We all works in progress. Yes. But I definitely gotta be more mindful of the way I look. That's a fact. That's a fact. Have you learned how to drown your troubles by being too busy to be annoyed by them? Have you learned to drown your troubles and too busy to be annoyed by them? Well, I'm learning this now. I'm learning this now. Would you call yourself a spineless weakling? Damn. If you permitted others to do you thinking for you, would you call yourself a spineless thinking if you permitted others to do yourself anything for you? Well, I don't really let others do the thinking for me. I'm very opinionated and independent thinking. So yeah. Do you neglect internal bathing until auto-oxidation makes you ill-tempered and irritable? Okay, recording. Nah, that's not really me. Not that type of guy. How many preventable disturbances annoy you? And why do you tolerate them? Because I'm too nice. I gotta stop being too nice, man. How about just being myself and not giving a fuck? That's what I'm trying. That's one of my goals, man. I gotta be myself and not give a fuck so much. Because those people I give a fuck about a lot of times don't really fuck with me like that. So I gotta learn from that. Yes. Do you resort to liquor, narcotic, or cigarette to quiet your nerves? And if so, why do you not try willpower instead? Damn, that's a good question, man. I know I don't need anything, but that's a work in progress. I'm working on myself, but I know I don't need anything, so that's a plus. But I'm working on myself. Yeah, somebody must be talking about me. Somebody calling cat, okay? Alright. Does anyone nag you? And if so, for what reason? Do you have a definite major purpose? Okay, hold on. Does someone nag you, and if so, for what reason? That's TMI, man. I know what it is, but I'm not going to say it on camera. I do have a private life, believe it or not. Do you have a definite major purpose? And if so, what is it? And what plan have you for achieving it? Well, I think that you are witnessing the plan in action right now. So yes, I have a plan and I'm working my plan. Do you suffer from any of the 6 basic fears? If so, which one? Which one? The fear of criticism for sure. the fear of old age, you know, a little bit. Oh, I gotta go back to the. The fear of poverty, of course, the fear of criticism, of course, even the fear of ill health. I didn't think I had that, but I do. You know, I'm getting fat. That's not a good sign, buddy. I gotta change that. The fear of loss of love of someone, for sure. I went into a motherfucking depression. My last breakup. You know, which is why I took a break for 3 years after that, just to get my mind together. The fear of old age, yeah. The fear of death. I don't really give a fuck, to be honest. I don't. But I can see it, but I mean, I gotta work on myself, man. And turns out I'm suffering from all the fears, man, in varying levels. So I really gotta work on myself. The funny thing is, some of those fears, I didn't even think I was suffering from. And I think that's a trick. You know, some of these fears are very tricky, very sneaky, you know. They'll be right there with you, eating lunch, right there with you, watching TV, right there with you, on the phone, right there with you when you sleep, right there with you when you wake up. They are sneaky as fuck. So, yeah, I gotta work on myself. I gotta work on myself. Myself. Have you a method by which you can shield yourself against negative influences of others? Well, now I do. I'm just not gonna fuck with you if you're on that type of stuff. Yes. Yes. Do you make deliberate use of auto-suggestion? That's good. Do you make deliberate use of auto-suggestion to make your mind positive? Yes. Which do you value most? Your material possession or your privilege of controlling your own thoughts? Or your privilege of controlling your own thoughts? I value my privilege of controlling my own thoughts, man. Because all this material stuff comes from the mind, which comes from thoughts, man. Thoughts become things. So of course my riches are not physical. Yet. What am I talking about? Anyway. I'm tripping. I am tripping. Are you easily influenced by others against your own judgment? Nah, I got my own mind, man. If I don't fuck with you, I don't fuck with you. Nothing you can tell me. Has today added any value to your stock of knowledge or state of mind? Of course it has. Of course. And I hope it has for you guys as well. Because we're in this together, you know what I mean? If I can do it, so can you. Yes. Do you face squarely the circumstances which make you unhappy or sidestep the responsibility? It's a bit of both for me, you know. I do a little bit of both. There are times when I sidestep the situation, and there are times when I confront the situation. But the fact that I'm doing what I'm doing right now is a great sign that I'm facing the situation head on. I'm parched. I've been doing a lot of talking lately, a lot of reading. I'm not used to that. I'm usually like a quiet guy, you know? Quiet type. Do you analyze all mistakes and failures and try to profit by them? Or do you take the attitude that this is not your duty? Analyze mistakes and pray and try to profit by them? Or do you take the attitude that this is not your duty? Oh man, I used to think a lot of things. I used to think a lot of things, but I'm on a different path now, man. I'm on the elevation path, you know. I'm on the accumulation of riches path. You know, I'm on the road to riches path. So, you know, of course, introspection is the main course, you know. So, yeah. Can you name 3 of your most damaging weaknesses? And what are you doing to correct them? Man, I used to be addicted to porn, you know. Might smoke some weed. What else? I don't really drink like that, but drinking. Maybe the fact that I don't exercise as much as I should. Yeah, so I'm working on it. But you know, I'm working on it. It's not easy, but I'm working. It's a marathon, you know? It's a marathon. Do you encourage other people to bring their worries to you for sympathy? I guess it's my vibe, encourage other people to do that, but you know. it's not worth it for me anymore. So to each his own, man. To each his own. You choose from your daily experiences, lessons of influences, which aid your personal advancement. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Does your presence have a negative influence on other people as a rule? Nah, people fuck with me. As a matter of fact, I notice wherever I go out to eat somewhere, people just come out of nowhere, like um, I went to a restaurant not too long ago and there was no black people there. And as soon as we came, other black people started coming. It's cool. I like it. Sometimes I go somewhere and I try to stay in the cut, but then people come in. It must be something about me, that just attracts people. It's cool. It's cool. I like it. What habit of other people annoy you the most? Annoy you the most habit. I mean, people are cool. You know what I mean? People are cool. People are cool, but I don't really like people who are not. How can I say this? I just don't like saying stupid shit. I don't like that. It itches my skin. Even though I be doing stupid shit sometimes, of course. But like some people are really, that's what they do, And that really irritates my soul. Just like people that have, and again, I'm sorry, but I don't like, I don't know if I can say this. It sounds so bad, but I don't like, how can I say this? I don't like, nah, I'm not gonna say this, man. Fuck it, I'm gonna say it. Okay. I don't like stupid people, alright? I don't like them. I don't. Like, especially if I'm talking to a girl and she's like a dumb blonde. It's not fun for me. I like the mental challenge, the tennis, the tic-tac-toe, I say something, you say something, it's stimulating my mind and all of that. If you're not really stimulating my mind, I just lose interest. Let's put it that way. I lose interest quickly. All right, there we go. Yes. I know I sound terrible for saying that. But that's just me, I never said I was perfect. So yeah, whatever. If you believe that, okay. Let me make sure it's still recording, man. It's still recording, yeah. Okay. What habit of other people annoy you the most? Yeah, I said that. Do you form your own opinions or permit yourself to be influenced by other people? I mean, let's be real. Most of the times I make my own opinion, but sometimes I let other people influence me, and yeah. I'm working to not be influenced by nobody, but that takes work, obviously. That takes work. And I'm not, well, yeah. Have you learned how to create a mental state of mind which you can shield yourself against all discouraging influence? Have you learned to create a mental state of mind with which you can shield yourself against all discouraging influences? I think I'm learning, man. I'm learning. Does your occupation inspire you with faith and hope? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Are you conscious of possessing spiritual forces of sufficient power to enable you to keep your mind free from all form of fear? Are you conscious of possessing spiritual forces of sufficient power to enable you to keep your mind free from all forms of fear? I'm waking up to that fact. You know, it's so uncommon that you would think it doesn't exist, but it does. And that's what I'm working on. That's one of my goals, obviously, you know. Faith. I gotta keep the faith. It's a beautiful thing, man. Does your religion help you to keep your own mind positive? I don't have a religion, but yes. Yes, the answer is yes. Speaking of that, I went to the mall not too long ago and I met like a missionary or like a preacher or something. And he came up to me and we started talking because he liked the book I was reading. So we started talking and everything, and you know, you can tell that he wanted to share the word of God, and it's a beautiful thing, but I'm just not a fan of their ways of trying to force you to think like them or be like them or act like them. I feel like whatever you believe in is your own prerogative, you know, like you can believe whatever you want to believe in. And for them to say that if you don't believe the way I believe, you're going to hell, I just have an issue with that. That's all. So if we can keep the conversation alive and talk about God in different perspectives, then we cool. But when we start talking about God and saying this is the only way, I have an issue with that. You know, that's the main reason why I am no longer religious. Because I just don't think that just because people don't believe in Jesus the way you believe in Jesus makes them bad, you know? What about Buddhists? What about other forms of religions? Are they going to hell just because? Of course not. But again, that's just me. Anyway. Do you feel it your duty to share other people's worry? If so, why? Well, I think I have like a fear, a need to I'm working on that, but I think I have a degree of a need to like feel accepted or something about being the only child and wanting to be accepted by other people, you know? And sometimes you take bullshit just because you don't want to be alone or whatever. The fear of loss of loved ones, I think it's called. I'm working on that. If you believe that birds of a feather flock together, as I was telling Shorty, what have you learned about yourself by studying the friends whom you attract? Damn. Why am I attracting these motherfuckers? Why am I attracting these people, man? Because we birds of a feather, obviously. But not for long. I promise you that. Eventually, you know, somebody gotta step up and look up and elevate, and that's me. So yes. What connection, if any, do you see between the people with whom you associate most closely and any unhappiness you may experience? What connection, if any, do you see between the people of whom you associate most closely, and any unhappiness you may experience? Okay. What connection, if any, do you see between people with whom you associate most closely and any unhappiness you may experience? What connection, if any? Well, how can I answer this one? I have a tendency of letting other people's feelings affect me, you know? And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I could be wrong. But if I see somebody sad that I care about, it might make me sad, you know? But hey, it is what it is. Could it be possible that some person whom you consider to be a friend is in reality your worst enemy because of his negative influences on your mind? It is very possible, but I'd rather not think about that, because that's sad. So I'd rather remove myself, you know? I'd rather remove myself. By what rules do you judge who is helpful and who is damaging to you? For me, it's simple. How do I feel listening to you or being around you? You know? How do I feel? If I feel good, that's a good sign. If I don't feel good, that's obviously a sign that something is wrong. And yeah, I try to pay more attention to the signs, you know what I mean? I try to catch them early. Yes. But what rules do you judge who is helpful and who is damaging to you? Are your intimate associates mentally superior or inferior to you? Are your intimate associate mentally superior or inferior to you? I mean, obviously I'm good at things, but some people are better at things than me, so I don't necessarily see myself as superior or inferior. I don't look at things like that. How much time out of every 24 hours do you devote to your occupation? Your occupation, sleep, play and relaxation, acquiring useful knowledge, playing waste. Well, the good thing is I'm not wasting any time. The bad thing is I'm not getting as much sleep. The good thing is I'm spending a lot of time on my occupation. However, I need to be more conscious of my sleep and of course play and relaxation. I gotta chill. I gotta chill. And with that being said, I will end this video here because I got to chill. And I hope you liked it. This is just the first of what I'm on, my new wave or whatever. I understand it's kind of long, but if you stuck with it this far, that means you're looking to, hopefully, I hope that you're looking to better yourself just like me and that you enjoyed it. And yeah, man, I wish you the best. I wish you success. I wish you health. I wish you peace. And until we meet again, have a good one.